Hey guys, what's up? It's Sean, Autotopia LA. I have a new merch item that's coming out. December 15th, we got the shirt performance driven and the hat performance driven. I'm gonna make you guys aware of this over the next week because on December 15th, I wanna sell out of these suckers. You'll notice a familiar spot. We're here back at Marconi Museum because John and his family are so friendly with us to allow us to come shoot here. They have a recent car that's been donated. Scott, who's quietly, patiently standing here with me, Scott designed the car and was an integral part of the build of what we're gonna see here. And you got a lot of reasoning behind this one as well, right? Because of the history of the car. So why don't you kind of give me the backstory on it, and then let's talk about the build itself.
Okay. At Mass Car Classics, we built a race car version of this car. We built an over-the-top AMC Rambler Scrambler for the drag strip for a client. It was donated to the Muscle Car and Corvette Nationals, and this customer happened to see that car and he wanted a street version of it. So this is a 1969 SC Rambler, and they're called a Scrambler. In 1969, AMC wanted to compete with the big automakers and wanted to get that youth market and that drag racing market. So they went to Hurst Corporation and they said, we want you to help us develop a car. It has to be light, it has to be inexpensive, and it has to be fast. Hurst helped them and they agreed to build 500. And AMC, American Motors Corporation, they wanted a red, white, and blue. They were known for their patriotism and red, white, and blue theme. There were two concepts. There was the A scheme, which is what they built first, the first 500 cars. They had red on the side, very similar to this. The paint on the first scheme came here and then down. So it looked a little funky and it was flat. It wasn't the metallic flake, but it was red on the side with the blue stripe over the hood, said 390, Ram Air on it. So it was a pretty loud over-the-top car. The first hood scoops were a third of the size on the opening. They took an AMX 390, a 4-speed, and an 8.5 inch or 8 3/4 rear end. It came with 354 gears, and it ran in the mid 13s, and it sold for $29.95, and the car weighed 2,995 pounds.
Oh, wow.
So it was called the Hurst SC Rambler, has a Hurst 4-speed in it, had a Suntac that they basically just took one of those metal clamps and clamped it to the column. They needed to keep the price down, and they sold out almost immediately. AMC decided, hey, let's do another 500. Well, Hurst didn't have time to paint. They were busy doing other things, and AMC said, hey, you gotta help us. So the B scheme car was no red on the sides. They just put a blue sticker along the bottom and a red sticker, so it had a blue and a red stripe, and they had only the arrow on the hood, nothing over the top. So it was basically white with a small blue and red stripe and the stripe on the hood.
Got it.
The hood scoop on those was an inch bigger. And the reason why is they didn't keep the molds. They were only gonna run 500 of these. So they had to take one of the scoops and wrap it and build a new mold from it. So the opening got bigger.
Got it.
This is a third version. So this is the one to have. So they built a total of 1,512 cars. And the third run was back to the A scheme. They had more time on it, but the hood scoop got bigger. So if you wanna buy a hood scoop, an original hood scoop, the A scheme's about 500 bucks for an original. The B scheme's about 1,000. And if you want the third run with the biggest one, which is and I think the most attractive, it's $2,500 or more.
Wow.
So it's kind of a
just
unique
for
little
the
story.
scoop.
Yeah,
wow.
just for the scoop.
Wow.
What we did on our other concept is we built what we call the Super Scrambler. I didn't really care for the A scheme, and I didn't care for the B scheme. So when we designed this, we changed up the stripes on the side a little bit. We went a little bit bigger to have it be a little more uniform.
Yeah.
We added metallic flake because we want it to look like a Hot Wheel.
Which is just so good on this.
We made the stripe on the bottom much bigger, the blue, and we put metallic flake in that. So this is an A-B scheme, and we call it a Super Scrambler. With the motor, the client wanted it to be all AMC. Because it's easy, obviously throw an LS3 in it, or an LS motor.
Sure, which would be much easier to do.
Much easier.
So let's pop this. I'm dying to see this as you're talking about it.
So he wanted all AMC, and he wanted the resto mod. So, we didn't put stock valve covers. We did some pretty amazing things on it. And these came with 390s, but it's a 401 block with a 390 crank, LS rods. It's got a solid roller lifter cam. The engine was built by Kenny Masano of Kenny Masano Racing Motors. It is over the top. And one of the things the client really wanted, AMCs are not known for high RPM.
Yeah.
They're a truck motor, a tractor motor. He wanted it to spin at least to 7,000 RPMs, which to my knowledge hadn't been done before. And he wanted the car to be very drivable, wants air conditioning on it. He wanted a lot. So a lot went into designing the motor. It dynoed out at Steve Burley at West Tech, dynoed out. His run was 657 horsepower at 7,300 RPMs, which we were blown away. Wow. Reliable.
Wow.
When V Performance did the chassis dyno,
I know V.
Okay, he ended up getting 562 rear wheel horsepower. So the car is pretty amazing. It's got a 5-speed Chrysler transmission in it and a Ford 9-inch rear end with 430 gears.
Got it.
We've done that model before on Mr. Nasty, on several of our resto mods. It works really well. It's very drivable. This car just seemed to work though. It's even quicker than we thought it would be. It's extremely drivable. It's got air conditioning. It's got a heater. We kept the theme. I wanted to point out, they came from the factory with the red, white, and blue headrests.
Oh, got it.
So we kept that theme. But one of the things we did is we got it, you see it's got the little speckles in it.
Yeah.
So we carried over that metallic flake.
Yeah. And this is all built by the Old Anvil guys, yeah?
Yep, Old Anvil. So NASCAR Classics closed down at the end of 2019 due to some health concerns. The concept was already done. And so we knew Paul over at Old Anvil. They do a great job, amazing fabricators, really, really good up and coming shop. We contacted them and put our buyer in touch with them, and they designed and built the chassis, did everything on the fabrication, did an amazing job, and they got it done really quick. Took about a year.
The whole car done in a year.
Whole car done in a year.
Wow, that's cooking.
Yeah. Now, Kenny actually ended up painting the car. So Mahood's painted the car white, and then Kenny, who's as good a painter as he is an engine builder, the car was sent back over to Kenny, and we talked him coming out of retirement to paint it. So he painted the metallic flake and the stripes on.
Got it.
And then the customer had American Auto Wrap in Van Nuys wrap the entire car.
So it's a clear broad all the way around the whole car.
They knew it was going to go to a museum and be donated. So, you know, people like to put their hands on stuff, and it lasts a little better. So they did a great job. The whole car's wrapped. Underneath the car is even more beautiful than
Which
the
I'm
outside.
so glad when we got here that it was up on a lift. We'll show you guys underside shots of the car because it really is stunning. With making 562, I think you said, at the tire, obviously you have to deal with the stock frame. You have to, so it's not the stock frame under the car
not
anymore.
at all. Paul and his crew are really well known for their chassis work.
Got it.
And so it's got frame stiffeners built into it. I mean, they built it in a way to look as factory as possible.
So that was the goal, is to have it still retain a lot of its originality at some level.
Yeah, he wanted a true AMC Rambler Scrambler, but he wanted to be able to drive real good, stop real good, be safe. These cars were very tinny. They were very inexpensive.
Yeah.
And so it was.
I mean, you knocking on it right now does not sound tinny at all.
No.
That car's solid.
Yeah, it was a beer can on wheels.
Yeah, got it.
So all the doors there's been stiffeners put in it. There's probably 300 pounds of Dynamat in it. It doesn't get hot when you drive it. It's very nice. The doors open and close really nice.
Yeah.
You know, it's solid.
I mean, I noticed all the gaps on here.
So it could have been a lot faster. He wanted an over-the-top resto mod that was comfortable to drive, and it's very drivable. If you want to put your foot down, it will scare the crap out of you.
Yeah.
But it's a really nice mannered car.
So you've added weight to it. So what are you, a little over 3,000 pounds?
2,700 pounds.
2,700 pounds.
Took the rear seat out. So took the rear seat out. Paul removed a lot of things that weren't necessary.
Okay.
We should open the trunk.
We will for sure.
Because they cut out the whole back of the car, and then they did all custom tin work back there because it's got pretty wide tires. We were hoping to keep it under 3,000 pounds, and we were shocked when we weighed it. It's like 2697.
Oh my God, with
and
562 at the tire.
And I think that's why it's a little faster than we thought.
Sure.
Things that I like that he wanted to keep, we kept. You know, it's a window car. It's all windows.
Yeah.
All the stock trim.
Yeah.
The bumpers are steel. They're all stock. They've been tucked a little bit.
I was gonna ask. I figured there's no way that's stock fitment. I mean,
it's tucked a little bit. You know, Paul shrunk them down a little and snuck them in there. But what's kind of interesting, the front and rear bumper are the same bumper. So yeah, AMC did everything they could to save money.
Wow. Hey guys, want to say a big thanks to our friends at Holley for sponsoring today's episode. And in celebration of the holidays, Holley is doing Holley Days. From December 11 to December 27, 2023, they're offering up to 20% discount off of most Holley products, along with some of the other brands that fall under the Holley umbrella, like Simpson, AEM, MSD, Brothers Trucks, Dynan, Detroit Speed, and more. So we'll have a link down in the description below if you want to take advantage of the sale celebrating Holley Days. then go click the link and go get yourself some products. Now let's jump back into the video today.
Paul also made these wheels. The AMC Rambler Scramblers came with a Magnum 500 wheel. Like other manufacturers, the Magnum 500 was a mainstay. And they had 14-inch Magnum 500 wheels, but they weren't chrome. They wanted to save money. So they were painted like a kind of like a grabber blue. It was kind of ugly. I didn't care for it, but it goes with that red, white, and blue theme. The owner wanted to keep that theme of the Magnum 500s, but he wanted a performance wheel. So Paul designed these wheels and made them. They're all CNC'd. They're amazing. And I think we got 15 by 4 in the front and 15 by 12.5 in the back.
And then what do you run in tire size? Are those like kind of pizza cut? Oh, they are full pizza cutters up front.
Yeah, I don't even know what size tire it is. I know it's a Mickey Compton slick in the back and then a drag radial in the front.
By the way, absolutely love this arrow pointing in.
And that's factory.
And that was factory. The car was...
Only difference, it'd say 390. But the air,
so
everything's
bitchin'.
factory.
One question right off top, Hammer, is that the name of this car?
Yeah, Anvil is the company that built it.
Yeah.
And so the concept, I said, hey, let's call it the Anvil Hammer. Because what do you do with an anvil? You hammer it.
That's
what do you do with a hot rod? You hammer it.
So it is fuel injected, right? Is that
Holley fuel injection.
It is, okay.
And that was Paul's idea. He works a lot with the Holley people and the Hurst people. Kenny is a carbureted guy, 100%, and he talked Kenny into going with the fuel injection.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I mean, it works very well.
Boy, it's just so simple in here, but so tidy and clean. I mean, even the way the lines are run, looking at the plumbing of the...
Yep, Paul made the headers, so it's
reservoirs.
custom built two-step headers that were tuned and done to Kenny's specifications. It's got Edelbrock aluminum heads, but it's got a stock 401 block that's been modified and splayed. The valve covers he did the billet valve covers that say Hammer, which I think are amazing.
Yeah.
This was really Paul's department at Anvil. He worked with the owner and they wanted to go simplified. They wanted it to look like just a big hunk of metal in there. One of the coolest things on the car that I like, one of the things that were fabricated that Paul came up with, the ram air hood scoop is obviously functional, but he made this custom air cleaner that is cowl induction. So when you're not moving, it's sucking cold air from the vents on the top of the hood.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's really awesome. I think that.
yeah, now I see it going, yep.
So you're getting it both ways. When you're moving, you're getting the true ram air. When you're not, you're getting nice fresh air from outside the car.
Yeah, it's really interesting, gotta admit, like it's obviously been resto modded, but at the same time, so much of it, that's
Stock
always
hinges.
replaced now, right? You always get rid of the stock hinges. That's one of the first things you do, but it looks bitchin' to see the old stuff still in here.
That's why you want to keep the windows and keep the bumpers, keep so much. So, this is stock. This could have been cut out of the car, but that frame brace, some of the suspension, obviously, all the suspension up front is completely custom. The control arms, the upper and lower control arms, everything was made by Paul.
They make their own control arms.
Yep.
Really?
Yep. I was a little apprehensive at first, but you know what? He does a great job. And the car.
And Paul's the owner of Old Anvil?
Yeah.
Got it.
Paul and Jenna Bosserman. What's amazing is how good this car drives. It is shocking. It goes straight, it stops straight.
Yeah.
It is a really easy car to drive.
Yeah.
It's like a Honda Accord until you put your foot in it. A really loud Honda Accord. But the fact that it's got air
Pretty
conditioning.
funny to compare this to a Honda Accord in any manner.
Hey man, AMC was the Toyota of their time,
What about the rear on the car?
All custom. It changed a lot. They kept going bigger tires. They kept...
so narrowing the rear end,
Yeah,
and
so
I assume the whole rear end's tubbed as well.
It's tubbed, it's linked, it's pretty amazing. And it's got coilovers on the front and the back. He didn't want to airbag it, and I think that was a good call.
I love that. I'm so not, I just don't love airbags.
And I love the way it sits. I mean, it's got
the
a
stance
nice
is
natural rake.
Yeah.
These mirrors are Hurst. So these were factory mirrors. On the factory car, it was painted white, but then you also had the blue Magnum 500 wheels. So with that change of going black, they wanted to add a little more black. So they did the black. And I think it makes it look a little more sinister.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. That's a subtle touch. And as far as the rear end, is it like a 4-link rear on this car?
It is.
They're not buying Detroit Speed or some other
company.
company.
All
He's
fabricated.
making it.
Yeah, he makes everything. Wow. I got to tell you, the guy's extremely talented. One of the things I like, he's very cognizant of safety. He wants to make sure he overbuilds it. They're very conscious about being safe. As you can see.
That's clean
and then there's
tidy.
something really interesting I want to show you, if you can have the camera over here. One of the things that makes this 100% a Rambler Scrambler is this plate back here. A lot of these cars were faked. This is really a Rambler Rogue. It's just a Rambler. They had a 6-cylinder in them. And when they first built these cars, when they started testing them, they were having a problem with cracking and tearing out the shock. So before it got into the production car, they welded. All they did was they put an extra plate on here and they welded it. So there's two ways to tell if this is a real Rambler Scrambler. One, it's got this metal plate, which is reinforcement for the shock. And two, it's got an X. If you remove the steering box, it's got an X in the frame and the last 3 or 4 digits of the serial number. This obviously is not stock. This has all been pulled out, and it's been, it's all fabricated by Anvil, but I had them save this piece from the original Rambler Scrambler, kind of as a funny thing. We had him put that back in. The AMC guys are a very interesting bunch, and they stick together thick as thieves.
Yeah,
and so the first thing they like to do is open the trunk and see, is it a real Rambler Scrambler?
Yeah, yeah.
So now, the John Marconi and his staff can tell people, oh, it's a real Rambler Scrambler.
So even though everything here, all the metalwork's been completely fabricated, they did that as a nod back to to show that that's
to the heritage of the car, and to basically
that's bitchin'.
Show and educate people.
Yeah.
Hey, what is that for? Well,
yeah.
it's because that makes it a Rambler Scrambler.
Yeah, and then obviously going with a fuel cell instead
fuel
of
cell
a
for
tank.
safety. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something
and
that
the battery relocated back here.
That's something Paul insisted upon.
I gotta say, just knocked out at the. I love like the OCD guys when it comes to plumbing and.
Oh yeah.
That's OCD right there.
Yep. Oh yeah. It's very functional. It's very
ways.
clean. I like things to be clean, and that's one of the things I like about this build and Anvil.
Yeah.
They do everything clean. Everything's purpose built and functional.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, Paul even did the interior in this car. So
in-house, they did their own
He did
interior.
it was the first interior he's ever done. He got tired of waiting for things to get done, so he went and bought himself some professional sewing machines and sewing tables.
Come on.
I'm not kidding you. The guy's really talented. He did the headrests, and then they're Pro Car front seats, but the rest, the door panels, the dash, everything, he made everything.
Wow, really?
Really. Made the floor mats.
Paul, you're a bit of a freak, my friend.
He made the dash. Now the dash is very similar to the stock dash. That was the whole point, to make it look as stock as possible.
Yeah.
It's got a tilt steering wheel. And I keep going back to the AC. I'm telling you, when you drive the car, it's cold, real AC. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah. Wow, this is...
The headliner in them originally was a solid piece. It's one of the things on the Rambler Scramblers that disintegrate, and it's so hard to find an original. It's almost like a cardboard composite with a little pattern on it, and it's a one piece that's stuck up there. He changed it obviously and put leather, and he glued it to the top. But full roll cage. I mean, it's done well.
It's caged all the way through, and everything on this car is 100% in-house with them, except for the engine being built and the paint being done.
Yep.
I mean, I even see like his Old Anvil in the horn here.
Look at the gauges.
Yeah.
He had all the custom, Holly did that for him.
But super subtle, like not over the top, like all our modern cars. Your Mercedes tells you 50 times when you're in it that it's a Mercedes.
Very pro and subtle. That's a good way.
Yeah.
But speaking of paint, Paul, he did his hand on the interior, and he does a great job. He's decided to start painting in-house.
Oh my gosh,
So they
really?
don't want to delay their builds. They want their customers to have a little bit more control. So they just installed a really nice paint booth at their shop.
I just love how clean this is back here, getting rid of the rear seat and
the detail, the leather on the
over the
humps,
tubs. I was thinking the same thing. Yep.
It's clean, it's functional, and it's nice.
And whose gauges? These are Holly gauges?
I am not 100% sure, but I know he went through his buddy at Holly. I don't know if they set him up with the gauge company or if they did it themselves.
I'm just always curious because I know people will ask sooner or later. Oh, it's Classic Instruments. Okay.
And that's an original Hurst handle.
I mean, even down to the carpet, like a nice quality carpet.
It's like a Mercedes style.
Yeah, but it looks old.
Oh,
it doesn't look like we just got carpet down the road.
It's all
somewhere.
surged. Like I said, they wanted to keep that stock theme, or at least that era-specific theme.
And he did all this himself.
He did the dash
pad, the
dash
door
is
panels?
cracked. The dashes are really hard to come by. Arizona Restorations, they spent a ton of money making some, having the original molds and making them.
Yeah.
But he can only make so many, and so Paul decided he wanted to make the dash, which I think he did a great job on it.
Did he make his own door panel?
Door panels, everything.
God dang.
First time.
I mean, for like if you're an interior guy, I can understand it, but like to just say I don't want to wait, so I'm going to figure it out myself. That's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
Well, he learned a lot on the car,
Shit, so clean.
and he learned a lot that he's applying to other builds he's doing.
Yeah.
And that owner gave him the leeway to kind of do it. He said, hey, let's do it together.
What is the brakes? Since we can't see brakes, I mean, I'm just
They're
curious.
Willwood, 12-inch in the front, and 9" in the back. You know, I'm not 100% on that.
Yeah.
You got me on that one.
Yeah,
but I know it's
yeah,
four-wheel
yeah.
disc, and they're manual.
Oh, they are?
Oh yeah, manual
Gotcha.
and manual steering. We're gonna go for a ride. You're gonna see it actually stops and goes really good.
Very exciting.
I'm very happy that they were very big on safety.
That's one of the things we were talking about before we started shooting. Is it's like it's one of the worst things is that so many of these resto mod cars are either not built properly, not regularly tech inspected. What you want is to be able to enjoy driving the damn car down the road. You know, whether it be mild driving or hard driving, you certainly want to know that everything, all the components work.
We obviously know, you know, you were in an accident from a car that happened. I want to thank you personally for posting that. I think that's huge that you did for the community to help people understand that you don't drive these cars every day. Before you get in and drive it, you need to do a little safety check. You need to do a little roll. You need to do it. I think what you did is very good for the hobby and
Thanks,
probably
Scott.
save a lot of people a lot of heartache.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate it, man. It was a tough choice, but it was I know a lot of you guys have watched. I've seen comments from people, but mostly between text messages, emails, phone calls, running into people out at events that have changed things that they've done on their cars, from adding harnesses, adding a harness bar, tech inspections, yada, yada, yada. Like, I know it made a difference, you know?
It did.
So for all the haters out there, right here, buddy.
Absolutely. Twice.
We'll put cameras in the car and we'll go for a little cruise. I'm dying to, because it still looks so old school, so I'm dying to see how it feels going down the road.
I think you'd be pretty surprised. I've driven a lot of hot rods. I've been around a long time.
Yeah.
This one really surprised me.
Awesome.
Really surprising.
Well, we'll get cameras in and we'll go for a drive for sure.
Racing and stuff throughout your lifetime, yeah?
Motorcycles, cars, yeah.
Boy, you can tell this thing wants to just get after it, doesn't it? Boy, I mean, always hard to tell from the passenger seat, but the way the car sits on the road, it seems like really planted and solid.
Goes right back to idle.
And you run race fuel in here.
Yep. Run it right at 165.
Hey, is that a Hemi?
What is that, 110 octane you guys are running?
They're running 110. I ran 100.
Yeah.
You know. So,
You love that smell.
Yeah. Love the smell of race gas.
So good, man.
Kenny's a genius. He's a very talented engine builder. And
I'm in love with your car. Tell the way it just feels.
this car is very.
It doesn't. You can tell. Like, my favorite part about resto body cars is you get rid of all the antiquated stuff.
Yep.
You know, especially suspension, brakes. You can still run old school engine, old school trans, and have a really fun car.
Oh yeah.
But I'm sorry, dude. When you've got old framework, old leaf springs and stuff, you know, yeah, it's tolerable, but it's not fun and reliable like this.
Yep. This car is amazing and very, very tame until you get under the power.
Yeah.
So it's a great car. You just have to be careful and you have to learn how to drive it, because when you get under power on this, some things happen real quick.
Well, especially when you start spinning up in that 7,000 RPM range. I mean,
it starts making it.
Stuff moves fast.
Yeah, and peak torque on this is 4,300 RPM. So that's pretty high for peak torque, you know, in a big car.
Yeah. I can't get enough of that smell.
Yeah.
Nowadays, everybody runs the 85.
I know.
Which I get it. I totally get the purpose, especially on boosted cars.
Yeah, it's cheap.
Yeah, it's cheap. Boosted cars, runs cool. But I can't stand the smell of it. It burns my nostrils.
Yep.
You know,
I agree.
it genuinely burns my nose up. I felt it right on the verge of breaking. Like if you would have stayed in it.
Did you hear it went, it
yeah.
started to spin up.
Yeah.
That was not the clutch slipping.
Yeah, no, I didn't think it was. Wow, what a great sounding car.
That's what I love about this car.
God, this thing sounds just wonderful. I get it. I totally get it.
It'll start backfiring a little bit. We'll have to change it out.
Got it. Well, this is the final one. This is our final shot, dude. And then we'll meet you back at Marconi.
What a completely badass car, man. Everything about this thing, you just gotta love it. It's like, it's so historic, late 60s, early 70s, the color combo, everything about it, but yet it's got all the modern drivability. The old Anvil guys, in my opinion, killed it on this build. And for anyone that's in Southern California that wants to see it, sometime soon this car is gonna be on display at the Marconi Museum. That's it for today, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. I really loved shooting this car. Big thanks for hanging and watching, and I will see you in the next one. All right, man, later.